Say the words Ford and Mustang in the same sentence and most people will immediately think of rumbly V8s and muscular coupes. But this is a Ford Mustang and I'm getting none of that. That's because this car is the Ford Mustang Mach-E, the very first electrified vehicle to wear the iconic Wild Horse badge. Now I've come all the way to America's automotive heartland, Detroit, to find out if this car has the potential to fit into Australia's unique automotive landscape. This car has been on sale already in America for quite a few months, and you can tell everywhere I've driven there are plenty Mach-E's on the road. It's clearly gone down very well with the US audience, and I can see why. It's a really great package. There are a number of different variants on offer, ranging from two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, a standard battery or a range extended version. Power ranges from 198 kilowatts to 259 kilowatts, while torque ranges from 430 newton meters for the standard battery all the way up to 580 newton meters for the biggest. Range obviously varies with the performance level and the battery size, but opt for the biggest battery and the sweet spot of the range and you'll get up to 470 kilometers of range out of this car. Now that is pretty respectable, and I firmly believe for most people that is more than enough for your daily commute and some other duties thrown in as well. This particular Mustang is one down from the Halo version called the GT Performance. This one though still gets the range extended battery and all-wheel drive, so you've got a really good balance of range and performance. If the range were to come to Australia, then I can see this one being smack in the middle, the sweet spot of the range and the one that most people would go for. Now I'll admit, before getting in the Mach-E, I was a little bit apprehensive. This is a car that wears one of the most iconic automotive brands in history. A car that represents pure American muscle, coupes, convertibles, performance cars, drivers' cars. How could this charlatan, dressed up in a crossover tracksuit, be anything to honour that amazing badge? Well, I'm pleasantly surprised. For a start, performance is absolutely excellent. Now you've got used to me saying time and time again that electric is conducive and synonymous with performance, and this is no exception. It'll do 0 to 100 in around 5.5 seconds, but it feels so much quicker. There's mountains of torque on tap when you want it, and it's incredibly versatile. Of course, all the time I'm driving it, I'm graced with this silent surroundings. You can get a bit of road noise from it, and these roads I'm driving on are pretty good examples of American concrete surface with lots of repairs all over them. You're getting that thumping through the suspension. This one doesn't have particularly big wheels on it, so there's a bit of tyre squash to absorb some of that. But generally cabin comfort is really good. And there's a lovely weight to the steering as well. Around the dead ahead mark, it's a kind of little bit dead in the hands, but as soon as you turn into a corner, it loads up really nicely and shows that there has been some thought put into the way this car drives. And it's also taken a step up in the premium stakes as well. Again, this isn't the flagship version, but I'm treated to some really nice quality touches. Interesting material, this textile on top of the dash, lovely quality leather seats, and the ergonomics are great as well. There's a much more reclined and purposeful driving position, but that hasn't hampered the view of the surroundings. These chunky A-pillars don't really get in the way too much. There's this vast panoramic sunroof above me as well. It's got a light and airy feel in the cabin. Technology, well, there's a lot to talk about there as well. First of all, this vast screen in the middle, that's proliferating a lot of Ford's electric vehicles. You can expect to see more of that. But it's complemented by this lovely, neat, slimline digital display for the driver as well. Wireless charging, tons of charging ports, electric popping doors, really nice little feature that keeps the aerodynamics good on the exterior. For a mid-spec car, it's got a great level of equipment, but most important is that transmission underneath. All-wheel drive, tons of grip, loads of performance. Really all the time I've been looking for calling cards of Mustang and a way to justify this car's boot badge. But actually what I've spent my time doing is looking for things that's more similar to a Tesla. That portrait mounted huge central screen down there, this huge panoramic sunroof. Even the proportions on the outside are somewhat reminiscent of the Model Y or Model X. You can see that this car has taken a lot of inspiration from one of the world leaders in electric cars, and that's a good thing. Just because you're mimicking one of the big players in the market doesn't necessarily mean you have to play second fiddle to them. And I reckon if this car came to Australia, it would have a really strong audience. It does all the things you might expect from a Ford, which includes, in this country at least, a pretty competitive price tag, but then it bundles it up with stuff that really does go straight for the jugular of Tesla. The Ford Mustang Mach-E isn't confirmed for Australia just yet, but there's a glimmer of hope. Our friends over the ditch in New Zealand have been confirmed the Mach-E, which means right-hand drive is coming. And really, it's a no-brainer to extend that to Australia. And let's be honest, would they bring me all the way to the other side of the world to drive this car for nothing?